3, 2, 1. We're live.
Let's do it. It's episode 19. Is that right?
19.
All right. This is officially our last podcast of being teenagers.
High five.
Yeah, bro. All right. We made it.
I know. 19 is like that awkward age. Now you're like, okay, I got 2 more years till I'm 21.
Yeah, you're technically an adult, but nobody really treats you like an adult. No. You can't drink yet. And you're like, it's that no man's land, you know?
Yeah.
We talked about it. Yep. That's what it is, man. All right. It's not a beer, by the way. If you guys listening, just cracking a, what's it called? Flavored soda water.
What's this called? Not sponsored.
Yeah. Dude, sometimes I look at my life now, I'm like, man, I used to be way cooler. I'd have this with like some vodka in it or something. Like now I'm like, nope, just soda water.
Yeah.
Kind of boring these days.
Quick question before we dive in. When you first started working, like doing your own business, would you drink in the big, like early in the mornings and kind of just be like that way?
Not early mornings, because when I first started, Mike and I were still active duty buzz instructors, so we couldn't really drink. Well, couldn't drink in the morning on the job. It was a little bit frowned upon. But actually, funny enough, drinking was a big part of our strategy in the beginning, even though it wasn't really a strategy. But honestly, some of the best contacts we made in business were from out partying and drinking and hanging out and just, you know, exchanging personalities with people. We met a lot of people who became really good friends and really good business allies through that. So yeah, grinding is, you don't always have to be like, you know, nose to the grindstone, doing push-ups in the dark, like writing your master plan, like eating ramen noodles. Like, dude, everything's beneficial if you allow it to be beneficial.
Right.
Within reason too. You can't go getting wasted 7 nights a week and be like, I'm networking. No, you're just being a drunk.
You have a problem.
There's a difference.
Hell yeah, man. So what we're going to dive into today, guys, is the 3 most important values or characteristics or habits like top entrepreneurs have, our opinions of like what we do and other people. So yeah, we're just going to kind of go through the list and kind of just talk about each one, break those down for each of us. So
yeah. When you showed me this topic, I was thinking, I think it was labeled as top 3 most important habits, but then I realized what I was writing was actually traits. But I think it's important to realize that habits beget traits. Like once you do a habit enough to where it becomes just the thing that you do, now it's a trait. It's part of your character. It's part of your DNA. And now it becomes a lot easier to maintain those things. Whereas in the beginning, when you're trying to make it a habit, that's where it's hard. We're like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And after it's a trait, these are just things that I do. And I think, there's a million different ways you can do this. Every successful entrepreneur that I know is so good at so many things. But I think after a while, you see enough patterns and you see the overlap. And there are 3 very clear things that I've noticed that are every single person I know who's highly successful has all 3 of these. Number 1 is awareness, just meaning like self-awareness, knowing yourself. That means knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, an awareness of the marketplace, knowing what your audience wants, knowing how your product is perceived in the marketplace, knowing how your services are priced appropriately, like being aware of how you're presented in the marketplace, and also just being aware of others. So that comes into play with like your business partnerships, your employees, your clients, your people, like everybody, your customers, everybody you talk to. Being aware of how you are perceived in their mind goes a long way. But I think it all starts with the awareness of self, because if you're the type of person that blames everybody else for everything going on in your life, you're inherently powerless to change anything. So I have seen, as soon as people shift from blaming other people to like, no, this is not something that happened to me. This happened for me. This is something that I can control. It's my fault this happened. Now you're like, okay, it's not external. It's not somebody else's blame to fall on. Even if technically it might be their fault, it's your fault that you got yourself in that position. Because by taking ownership of it, you now gave yourself the power to change course and have it not happen again. But if you externalize, like, oh, this is somebody else fucked up or this or that, it's always external, you're never going to change, which means you're going to make the same mistakes again. Even though sometimes that mistake is just allowing yourself to be put in positions where somebody else has the power to make mistakes that affect your life, you know? So I think awareness is the number one thing. It's a little bit like multifaceted, but I think it's key.
Mm-hmm. Do you think people, before we go to the next one, do you think people are born with the awareness? Do you think they're like just naturally like have that trait? Or is it something that you constantly have to work for?
I think it's like many things. Like you have a propensity towards, certain types of personality traits, but I think everybody's inherently selfish. When you're a kid, like you want what you want. I want this toy. I want this thing. I want to go this place. And what do you do when you don't get it? You fucking cry and you throw a fit. Like that's just inherent to most people. Some people grow out of that and some people don't, it is what it is. But I definitely think it's something that if you want to be, if you want to reach the big goals that you set for yourself, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for people to achieve that without learning some kind of self-awareness. Just because you're going to bump into the same problem over and over and over again. And until you realize it is you that's actually causing the fucking problem, you can't get out of your own way. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be inherently limited.
Mm-hmm. So when we think entrepreneurs, everything like CEO, the boss, all that kind of stuff, like when you have awareness as your top trait, do you look at that when it comes to hiring people?
Well, people look at the CEO position or a top position as like you have the ability to blame everybody else for everything that's going on. But in reality, everything starts and stops at the top, right? So the CEO or the owner, the entrepreneur, whatever your position is, that's where everything comes from. So if it's a problem, if one of my employees made a mistake, that's my fault. Like, am I training them the right way? Did I let them know what success was in this role? Did I give them all the tools they needed to succeed? Did I check with them? Did I make it okay if they had questions? Did I make it okay for them to ask questions? And if all that is yes, okay, well, maybe they did fuck up. Why are they in my company? Because I hired them. Because I made a mistake of hiring the wrong person. So eventually it all comes down to you as the owner, the founder, entrepreneur, CEO, whatever your role is that you have the power to change these things. And if you want to complain and blame other people for it, even your own people, dude, you're never going to fix anything. All you're going to breed is resentment with your own team, and they're not going to see you as somebody who protects them and looks out for them. The best thing you could do in situations like that is take ownership of it and be like, hey, I know we screwed this up and this is what happened. What can we do better to fix this? How can I support you? How did this happen? And what did you need that you weren't getting from me? And how can we put systems or processes in place so that this type of thing doesn't happen again? And you don't blame them. Be like, hey, you fucked up, you this, you that. It's like, no, how can I do this for you? Then you put yourself together with them in alignment. You're both in alignment now to solve the problem. Dude, it's way, way better. Way more productive than just blaming. Well, you fucked up. Now guess what they're doing? They feel bad. They're going to go look on LinkedIn for another job right away.
No, it's crazy, dude. From my last boss, Billy, right? He always said, and it stuck with me into my own business, where he's like, everything is your fault. It's like one of his core values.
Yeah.
Where it's so much easier if you just, like, me and you are in an argument and I say, you know what? It's my bad. Even if I'm big-headed and it's not my fault and it's whatever, I apologize. That's on me. What are you going to say? Like, you know what, man? Like,
yeah, you're right. You suck.
Dude, you're fired. But no, usually you're just like, I appreciate that. Like, you know what? Like, I could have done better here compared to like, it's your fault. No, fuck you. It's your fault. Dude, so it's just like when you just say it's your fault, step up. Now you can move forward, really figure out the problem compared to like bitch back and forth.
What people don't realize, man, it's a power move to accept responsibility.
Yeah.
Because most people don't expect it. And they're like, oh, wait, what the fuck? So they feel like kind of like they owe you. When in reality, you're helping yourself by taking responsibility, but they feel like you're helping them. Mm-hmm. So now you're both want the same thing, to fix the problem, because you took away the blame from them and took it on yourself. Because it is your burden to bear. As the owner or the top person, everything is your burden to bear.
Yeah.
So yeah, why would you want to blame anybody else for that stuff when the real power move is taking control of it and taking responsibility for it? And like, this is what happened. Here's how we're going to work together to fix it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Awareness. I wrote that one down.
Awareness, yeah. People call a lot of different things, but that's just that's how I view it. Right or wrong. Number 2, and this is probably the most common. I don't think you can build anything at any scale without this one thing. And it's very simple. It's just resiliency. Just being able to take a hit. And I think it's very important when you get hit the first time. It's like getting in a street fight. I was always so afraid to get in fights as a kid. I was like, oh my God, I had braces on too. So I was afraid I was going to smash my lips into my face. It's like, it's not going to be good. But I was like really afraid to get in a fight. And I remember the first time I got in an actual street fight, I was like running this dude because he was fucking my friend. And I was running at him. I was trying to figure out what to do. I didn't know how to fight anyway. And as I was thinking about what to do, he smashed me in the face as I was running at him and totally broke my nose. And I was like, step back. I'm like bleeding everywhere. And I was like, I could barely see because of blood in my eyes. I was like, oh, I'm not dead. That's not that bad. It's actually kind of fun. Okay, now I'm gonna fuck you up. But I think it's a very freeing feeling to get punched in the face the first time and realize you survived, you're not made of glass. And it gives you the strength to be like, oh, you know what? That wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Let's push it. And I don't think you could build anything at scale or even a small scale without having an incredible amount of resiliency, because you're gonna get punched in the face as soon as you step into the ring of entrepreneurship. 100%. But I mean, it is one of the most powerful things you can do to realize you're not made out of glass and take a few hits and realize like, okay, I just need to learn to fight. I need to learn to be an entrepreneur. What does that entail? Absorbing information, having awareness, fixing things, taking responsibility. Like it really is a whole person concept.
Yeah, man. It brings me back to my dad always wanted me to play football. So in Pop Warner, he put me in when I was like 7. And in that league, like I was fast. So like I would be running on around the outside. I was running back and I would just go score touchdowns. Like no one tackled me. Mm-hmm. My dad's like, okay, like I wonder how he'll like the sport when he knows he's gonna get fucked up. Like when he gets hit. And we had this thing called the chocolate bowl where it was just like, okay, we played about these kids. I got knocked like left and right. And when my dad saw me get hit like helmet to helmet for the first time, he's like, all right, we're gonna see what he does.
Yeah.
And I got up and I was like, holy moly, like that rocked me. And then I was like, let's go again.
Yeah.
And I got up, but that was my first time I got concussion.
It's a test, dude. 7, see what you're made of.
But the thing is now you're like, this is what football is. This is what this is. Kind of like entrepreneurship. When you kind of go through that ringer, it's not too bad. Like I got it. There's some things that like are uncomfortable, but like I can handle this.
You got an actual concussion from that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Oh, dude. And that's the thing. It makes a lot of sense now, but I had so many concussions growing up, 15 years of football. Yeah, dude. But
you made it.
Yeah, man, I'm fine. And I got tough, and 2 older brothers. So yeah, man.
Dude, it always comes, I feel like I'm saying the same thing all the time because it always comes back to this same thing. It's like, you just have to get stronger. It's like you go to the gym for a long time and you strength train and you get bigger and you get stronger. It's like the weights, and you lift more weight, the weights aren't getting lighter, you're getting stronger. But in order to do that, you have to go through the pain. You have to, take a little bit of the suffering and take the hits.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is, I think, the exact same way. Life is the same way.
Exactly. And I think that's a cool thing talking about that. Going to the gym, right? If you've never been in the gym, that's the first mental block, right?
It's intimidating as fuck if you've never been there. You're like,
you don't know what machines do. You don't know how much you get. Exactly. Like, what do I first wear? Like, I want like a whole bunch of shit. Like, I'm not going to look as good as them. That's the first step to go to the gym. Is like, you just go walk, go on the treadmill, stay upstairs in the cardio room, just walk.
Yeah.
Go.
Just observe.
Get used to going and then take that next step. Oh, now go lift a couple dumbbells, go back to walking, just that idea. And then now once you're in there, you're like, I've been here for a week. Like I'm almost like regular, in that aspect because people are going to start to see you there. And then now that confidence is a boost too. And then now you can go into like, how do I really work out? How do I really get this, So
well, now you're moving from habits to traits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn.
I love this, dude. Yeah. It's a good fucking podcast. Yeah, you guys are welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome.
And then the third thing, and this is maybe kind of an odd topic, but is ego. Because everybody thinks that ego is bad and ego is terrible and you got to be this super humble person and you got to like put everybody first. And you do in certain things, but also even to start, you have to have ego. You have to have ego to be like, I want this goal for myself and I'm willing to put in the work to do it. That takes fucking ego. right? So, but ego is two things, because I look at a long-term ego and short-term ego, or big ego and small ego, is where you have to have a big or long-term ego to set a massive goal. But like, look, this is where I want to go. I want to build something big. But if you take that massive ego and you just stomp around to every meeting and around the office, like, I'm the fucking man, I'm this and that, everybody listen to me and do what I say, you're never going to build what you want to build, because it's the people that build the whole thing. The whole thing is built on systems and processes, and who executes the systems and processes? The people. So what you got to do is you got to understand, okay, I have this part of me that manages this big ego and wants to build big shit. But in order to actually build it, I have to put that, wad it up, put it in my fucking pocket. And when somebody tells me that, like, one of our team will come up and say, hey, we're doing things this way. What if we do it this way? It seems way more efficient. Even if I created the first way, I got to be like, fuck, you're right. Yeah, let's change it. Go ahead, make the change. Your way is way better than my way. Like, but it's a little bit crushing to your ego. Like, no, my way is fucking best. I know best. I'm created this whole thing. But you're never going to get beyond yourself if you do that. So you have to, put your ego in your pocket, and it comes back to awareness. Be aware when other people are right, and let them run with it. Let them, like, build their ego up a little bit, because ultimately you want people working for you and with you that have big egos too, because you want a team of fucking A players. And A players, like, are, you can be humble and also have an awareness of your greatness and your worth. You don't have to be around. Humble does not mean sitting around and be like, oh, I suck, everybody's great. It does not mean that. Humbleness means having an awareness of where you fit.
You can definitely have a confidence and be humble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah, one of my buddies work at Tesla, and they get like a lot of, like, I don't know, personal emails. It's a weird thing, but he always talks about it. He's just like, no, like Elon Musk like emails us, and he always lets us know, like, each department, a specific like area. Like, he's out in Carlsbad, but it's like, no, if you guys have recommendations about how it would make job easier, let me know. Email me. So it's just like, dude, that's Elon Musk.
Right.
But still, it's like he wants to figure out, he hires smart motherfuckers. He knows people are smart, but he knows about system processes and how the company's built. So it's funny where it's just, even for him, I want to know, because you guys are doing the day-to-day. He is too, obviously, but some people are really in it and fucking smart. And it's like, you give those ideas, it makes them feel like, holy shit, like, they're actually listening to me and my ideas.
Those are your frontline troops, man. Your frontline troops are always going to know what's going on the ground better than, the commander who's back in, the out of the field. But it takes, man, it comes back to that same thing. It takes a real awareness to know that, hey, these people know better than me what's actually happening. I can provide guidance, but in order to provide the best guidance for them, I need to listen to them on what they want. And I need to provide that to the best of my ability for them so that they can execute on their job to the best of their ability. It's not this like dictatorial style leadership. It's just like my way or the highway, do as I say. Like that, I mean, you can get a little bit far that way, but you can't build anything meaningful or substantial if you're just like fucking Captain Hook up there barking at people.
I know. Ego's a big one. So with egos, do you know anyone personally that's has bigger company that you're like, their ego's a little off in the aspect you just don't really relate to them really well, or I don't know.
It's like that I think their ego's too big for what they built.
Yeah.
Nobody really comes to mind, but I could think of a lot of people who have built small companies who have massive egos. And they think like, well, I built this and that. And it was just mind-numbing how fucking like it was obnoxious how wrong they were about shit. Mm-hmm. It's not the people who build big shit that have undeserved egos. Because a lot of times it might seem like they have a big ego, but also small people will misunderstand that as ego when it's actually confidence. If you've built big shit, you should have massive confidence in yourself. And sometimes you have to have massive confidence in yourself before you build big shit. But yeah, I can't name a single huge company that I actually know the owner of that I think they're, or even that I don't know the owner of, that I think they're off the mark with their ego. But yeah, on the smaller end of it, like I know a lot of guys who built like, 7-figure company who think they're top shit. Like I fell into that trap myself. I was like, dude, I'm the shit. I know what I'm talking about, this and that. But it was
Is it hard not to go there sometimes? When it's your first time in that aspect, you're like, man, look at this.
well, you got to learn. I think it's normal. Like you go further than you've ever gone before, and you're proud of yourself. And if it's new territory, new space for you, you don't know the other players in the game. And sometimes I know for me, I didn't know how tall that ladder really was. I didn't know how big things could really get. So when I got like my little bit of success on my little journey, I looked up and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm awesome. And I looked around, I was like, oh, I got to meet more people. I'm like, oh, I had to learn new things. I'm like, oh shit, I'm just getting started. So I do think, maybe giving myself a little bit of slack. I do think it's normal to have that perception of yourself kind of distorted sometimes, because you're riding that line of being proud of yourself and happy for yourself, and want to, it's okay to be happy with your accomplishments. But also too, riding that line between big ego, small ego, and ego and humbleness, you have to understand that have an awareness of how you really fit into the ecosystem. And if you're the top dog, awesome, be the fucking top dog.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not the top dog, don't act like you're the fucking top dog.
Mm-hmm.
Have an awareness of where you're at and how big other things are. But yeah, I think that's very normal to kind of have to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody that just knew automatically that they were perfectly positioned and perfectly the right amount of aware all the way up.
Yeah.
It's just very rare. Normally you have to have people tell you like, hey bro, you're kind of being an asshole.
Okay,
like,
got it.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, thanks.
Yeah, when I
You're
started
right.
making a little bit more, I was always just nervous. Like this could be taken away from you. So I was just more like, and the way I grew up around money, I understood the dollar, but I still had fun. Like, oh, I can get this. But it was more of like nerdy shit, equipment. I could buy this computer. I could buy, blah, blah. But it was more just like always remembering this could be gone. This could be taken from you. And just like keep going, humble, all that kind of shit, But sometimes it can go a little that direction. But you got to catch yourself, I feel.
Dude, I always feel like it could be taken away from you. And honestly, there's a lot of luck that has to do with it. More than I would like to admit, to be honest. Timing is important, and a lot of timing is luck. There's preparedness and positioning yourself and gaining the right skills to be in the right position, take advantage of opportunities, yes. But there is a portion that's just luck, man. Mm-hmm. And if you have the wrong amount of luck at the wrong times, you can very quickly like completely crash just about anything, no matter how big you are.
Yeah.
So I always try to be like as humble as I can, while also being accurate. Because I don't know. It's a fine line to walk, and you're going to piss people off either way. Yeah. If you're not humble enough, people think you're an asshole. If you're too humble, people aren't going to believe that you can build what you build, and they're not going to follow you. So you have to ride that line, and that's why I think having awareness of how you're perceived with other people is so important, because that's how they're going to view you and your life and what you're building. So you got to show them in a way that they're going to understand.
100%. Before we wrap up, I kind of just I have 3 that I want to go through and get your opinion on. Because I know it's not just 3, it's just kind of top 3 for you, but kind of for me and like to talk, get your opinion on discipline. Thought on discipline.
I think it's necessary, man, because the things that you're going to have to do to get to where you want to go, you're not going to like 99% of them. You're not going to like, but it's an investment in your future and the freedom that you're going to have in your future. So are you willing to give up your time and things now so that you can have more time and freedom later? And if the answer is yes, it's going to take some dedication to do that. It's going to take some discipline, because you're going to have to go without to get more of other things later. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
But there's no other way to do it.
Yeah. When I first started entrepreneurship, started my company, you have to be discipline. You have to understand you have to make yourself a schedule. The idea of
Mhm.
like, oh, I could do whatever I want. Yeah, but you have to make sure that you're getting all the shit that you need done.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes if you don't have that schedule, this is what time I wake up, this is what time I eat breakfast, and then I hop into the emails. Like having a schedule doesn't mean you have to hit it exactly, but you have a routine that you stick to that you can scale and all that kind of stuff. So I think discipline was a huge thing for me.
Well, that's what
first
Jocko
started.
says, like discipline equals freedom, which sounds like a, oxymoronic concept, but in reality, they're very closely aligned, because if you have discipline in your life and schedule, like you're talking about, like then you have all the other time that's not scheduled. You have the freedom to do whatever you want, and complete freedom, because you're not like, oh, am I missing this? Am I missing that? What do I have to do? What if something comes up? No, you can schedule in freedom for these things. But if you don't, your whole day is kind of a mishmash of a bunch of bullshit. That's not a really freeing feeling. You feel like you're beholden to like all these puppet strings that are pulling you around and telling you to do a bunch of different shit. That's why I think, yeah, scheduling is huge. If you can be disciplined in your schedule, it'll make you feel like you have a lot more time and a lot more freedom in your day.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, that was one of my second ones, organized. So yeah, exactly. Keeping scheduled, that's part of discipline. But I'm just thinking in general of content that I make as a creator, with all my different clients that I have and the different niches that they're in. Like, how am I going to I can keep it organized for myself. But if you go on my computer, you might be like, what the fuck is this? Like on my folders. But I make a process when I hire a new, like a VA or something. This is our process. This is what each folder should look like on your computer and my computer and the Dropbox and Gmail and drives and all this kind of stuff. So that's a process of being organized. So when someone comes on, they already see it when they're hiring out and it's all ready to go. So kind of hit up on that.
Yeah, Disney, I have a filing system that works for me, but Disney constantly looks at it and makes fun of me. She's like, what the fuck? She's super organized. I'm organized for me. But if anybody else comes in and looks at my shit, it looks like a fucking disaster. But I know the flow. I know how it goes. But I will say on that most of the people I know that are successful in like a 8 or 9 figure or even 10 figure range, they're not very organized.
Yeah.
But they have somebody on their team that picks up the organizational factor. Most of those people who build really, really big shit are visionaries. They're the guys who come in a very top level, like they'll drill down when they need to and they know how to do that. But they're very top layer, like, here's a fucking idea, let's go do this. And they have the people on their team who come in behind and fill it in, like, okay, here's what we need to do to execute this and this and this and this, like a COO position.
Yeah.
That book Rocket Fuel, I think Gino Wickman, I think, or Gino something. Anyway, the book Rocket Fuel has visionaries and integrators. And from what I've seen, that is very accurate, where you have the primary person, well, not primary, but the visionary part of the partnership is the person who just has like just the big vision, has all these ideas, and it's the integrator who comes in and it's like, okay, cool, let's not do all these things. Let's flip them 90 degrees. Let's do one thing at a time, bite it off and execute, bite it off, execute. So you can get through a lot of stuff. And if the visionary doesn't have that person, they won't get done almost any of that thing, because they'll be hopping from thing to thing to thing and nothing ever gets fucking actually done. So I think it's very hard to build a massive company without both of those personality traits. In the beginning, when it's just you got to be both. You got to be organized.
So yeah, what you're saying is, like, in the beginning, you need to be able to have all the tools and know how to do certain things. But as a visionary, as the CEO of what you're trying to do, of the entrepreneur, right? You always want to have that vision, and you can always hire people to take the other stuff to do, like the organization. So
yeah, this is that type of person that can do that is a very unique person, though. It's almost like a COO position. You almost need an intrapreneur, not entrepreneur, but intrapreneur type personality that can take on these tasks and run those departments or those projects like they're their own. Because once a company is big enough, each department kind of do run like their own businesses. And your people need to have authority and autonomy to make decisions within that. And they need somebody who can give them that. And usually it's not the visionary, because they're on to the other 3 projects and they're moving. So they need to reach back up to like the program manager or the department head or the COO, or, depending on how many layers you have. But normally the visionary is not involved in that.
Yeah, that's right. My last one, being a student of the game, constantly learning. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's totally right. That's the only way to do it, because that's the only way to progress. Like, you have to fall in love with the process, because it is a lot of work. and it's a grind, and it never fucking ends.
Yeah.
Ever. It only ends when you decide that it ends. When you decide to, like, you know, sell the company or exit your whatever your ending is. But yeah, dude, it literally never ends. So you have to become a student of the game. You have to love the process and enjoy the learning. You know, otherwise you're not going to be able to take the hits.
Because right now, everything, technology, so many things change so fast. So I feel like people that are making billions or multi millions, hundreds of millions, they have the youth in the world of social media that they didn't really grow up with, but they come down and be like what's this really about? I want to be a part of it. Can you help out? You know, they are always learning. You know, some people don't give a fuck about social media and like what's going on right now, but those people that like some of the sharks on Shark Tank, all of them have their like social medias, and they weren't doing it last year, 2 years ago, they weren't. But now they're always posting and doing that kind of things. And just what I do as a content creator for like my company, they do exactly what we do, but they weren't doing that a couple of years ago. So it's just funny how
part of it's a generational thing too. Because me being 44, I have a lot of my friends that are around my age. They're like, oh, social media, I don't do that. It's lame shit. I'm like, why not? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing that you don't need it? You're misunderstanding the point of social media if you think that it's lame or whatever. I mean, like, there's a difference between choosing not to use it and then not understand the power that it has.
Right.
You know,
student of the game.
Student of the game.
Even if you know your tools and you're like, I just don't want to use it. Okay, cool.
That's
you know
totally fine.
the tool.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
it. But if you're like, I don't need it.
Yeah, well, you
don't know much about
it. Yeah.
You probably would change your mind if you knew about it. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. I love this podcast. This was a really good one. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, this is good, dude.
Yeah.
These are good questions. So yeah, you guys that are listening, this is like, we've only had a few people actually write in with questions. So if you're listening to this, please DM us a question. If you think we're missing something or something specific to your situation that you think is super unique, is actually probably not that unique. So fill us in, let us know. We'd love to help you guys solve your problems. So DM us and let's work on it.
Yeah, definitely. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, share, subscribe, share with friends, leave a comment, all that kind of good stuff. You know what to do.
All the goodies.
Hell yeah. All right, man.
All right, man.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.